This morning, I uncharacteristically slept in, and woke up at 8 a.m. to my fiancée and the two roommates hanging out over coffee, preparing for the day. On this rare occasion, everyone was scheduled to leave the house all at the same time except for myself. Everyone leaves and I start cleaning house, buzzing around, listening to music, and generally enjoying the time alone. I decide at one point to detail my car. It's around 1 p.m., I'm supposed to be meeting my fiancée in just few hours, and have just enough time to thoroughly pamper my car. I run inside to grab a refreshing beverage, and spot a tasty chocolate snack in the fridge, commence foo. I decide eating one of the two somewhat wonky-looking chocolates that was nestled into the butter compartment in the fridge couldn't cause too much harm. I left one of them, plus, they look like maybe they were just a lost and sad chocolate forgotten in a pocket on a hot day. No one would miss them too much. I continue cleaning my car, and start getting ready to run to town and meet up with fiancé in just a little over an hour. I start noticing how lovely everything is and slowed my roll with detailing my car. Look out into the woods and start noticing that it seems like the trees are breathing. Colors are more vibrant than typical, and I just feel like laying down and enjoying my cozy bed for a minute. It's about then that I start questioning the mystery chocolate. I run upstairs to lay down for a quick minute. I pull my phone out to text fiancé about the chocolate, and notice that the letters of my keyboard are wiggling and wandering around on the screen. Text the fiancé to find out what they were. "Hey babe, what are these chocolates in the fridge?" "Huh? Did I just dose myself with something?" "Oh no, did you eat both of them? You just ate an 1/8 of shrooms, get comfortable." Luckily, they weren't as strong as I expected, but still spent the greater portion of a day wandering around the house admiring various different aspects of life and reality. TLDR, left alone at home on rare occasion, ate mysterious chocolate from the fridge and ended up dosing myself with mushroom chocolates. Edit: to clarify, my fiancé and I have a private fridge and share food. He doesn't normally load it with laced edibles, especially without warning me. It was an honest mistake on both parts. Edit 2, they really didn't have any shroom flavor to them. There was a slight spicy taste, which is what I suspect masked the flavor. For context, we live in a 8-story flat on the 3rd floor. So earlier this afternoon, I, 16M, was minding my own business in my room on my phone. The past few days have been very hot where I live, around 30 degrees Celsius on average, so I left my window open and didn't shut my door. My baby brother was playing with his toys in the hallway and didn't seem to have a care in the world. My mom called me to prepare lunch since she was quite ill that day and I obliged. So I was busy boiling the pasta and making the sauce when my gut instinct told me to just peek out to the hallway. I checked and he wasn't there. Probably watching TV or something, I thought, and I didn't think much of it. I was about to return to my duty when I froze in my tracks. You ever get that sick feeling that twists your guts so hard you know for a fact something so horrible and catastrophic is about to happen? In an instant, I found myself teleporting right outside my room and there he was by the window. He somehow used my bed to climb onto the heater and sit down near the edge of the window. The upper half of his body was dangling out and he was busy throwing his toys and being fascinated at how far they can fall and break. He was this close to falling to his death, crushing all of his fragile bones. Without thinking, I quickly grabbed him and put him out of harm's way and I started hugging him tight while cursing myself repeatedly. My mom was oblivious to what was going on the entire time. I shut the window, closed my room and sat him down with me while I resumed making lunch. I was in shock. My brother could have died today. All because of one stupid mistake I've made. Even though I've saved him, I still feel sick and disgusted at myself and this whole incident is playing on loop in my mind currently. DL, Doctor, made a huge mistake leaving my window open when I was asked to make lunch. Brother somehow got to the window and nearly fell out. This was a few years ago, but one day my neighbors across the road came home with a new system in their car. They decided to invite several people over, open their car doors and crank the music. Not only was this terrible music, but it made the walls in my house vibrate and I had a migraine. Now you'd think this would only go for a minute or two just to show the friends what it could do. But no. I saw one of my neighbors go talk to them. After they walked away they turned it up even louder. So having no other alternative than to annoy them, I hit the alarm button for my vehicle. Luckily enough my vehicle at the time had a very loud and annoying alarm. When I did this they looked around and turned down their music. So I turned the alarm off. A few seconds later they cranked it back up. I turned my alarm back on. This happened about 3 times before they got the message and had their music at a normal level. I live in an apartment on the side of a big house. I always put delivery instructions in my order, however, these instructions are regularly ignored and people knock on the wrong door. So lately, I have been texting the driver when they're on the way, just to make sure that they know which door to knock on. This has never been a problem until today. I texted him, "Hey, I just wanted to make sure you got my delivery instructions, I just want to make sure you don't knock on my landlord's door." Driver, "Can't see those instructions till I arrive. Probably best to call people whose job it is to turn off." Me, I assumed you would read the text when you got here. Thank you, sorry for the inconvenience. Driver, "Inconvenience? No, it's a safety risk and a risk of freedom." What? Delivery service, asking its drivers to do is, hey, not only go out risk it in coronavirus hasn't we want to not have our cousin or staff take that risk that you take every day. Do as a favor, and if you have any problems while you're on a delivery, pull out your phone while driving and text us. Please don't hit and kill anyone or get yourself arrested for texting and driving. Thanks, we appreciate you. I posted this as a reply in another thread. Someone suggested I make it its own post, so here goes. When I worked at an auto parts store about 20 years ago, I was trying to help a customer W a carburetor. I'm female and was in my late 20s at that time. I had actually taken classes on fuel systems and rebuilt a couple myself. The man, with his teenage son in tow, asked to speak with the man. Pretty sure he called me hot somewhere along the line. I got my store manager, a 60-year-old, amazing man. "I miss you, Paul." Customer started to talk about floats, and jet sizes, etc. My manager paused the man and said he had no idea about such things, and proceeded to call me over. Customer's eyes almost bugged out. Son smiled. My manager explained that he's good at management stuff, and hires folks who understand the technical stuff. Best day ever. Postscript, that customer and his son would beeline for me in the future, even waiting to speak with me when some of the guys I worked with were available. Tonight is the first time we are sold out since the plague started, and I say sold out rather loosely. More specifically, we have no clean rooms left because our skeleton crew of housekeepers can't keep up with the sales volume. Cue people to start having issues that I can't fix at 1 a.m. It is, in the central United States, coming to be the time of year when everyone desperately needs AC, and about half of our units haven't been run since last year and aren't exactly functional. Now usually, this is a matter of moving the guest and putting in a maintenance request, but of course it can't always be that simple. Tonight, long after all of the other staff were at home in bed, the guests from 318, who we will henceforth refer to as Bob and Karen, come storming into the lobby, irate and ready to pick a fight. 50% of them, that is, it seemed Bob only wanted to stop getting chewed out, and he was actually surprisingly pleasant. Our conversation went something like this. Bob, "Hey there. Our AC isn't working properly and the room hasn't cooled down at all." Karen, who is standing halfway across the lobby, for some reason, cuts him off, "And the fridge is not working, and there are scuffs on the door, and there is a dent in the wall. We cannot stay in that room." I went on one side of the hotel with a view. I noticed there were a few empty. Now there are rooms empty, yes, but certainly not clean. I explained that to them, and after trying unsuccessfully to get them a room at our sister property, I let them know that checking them out and refunding their card was the best I could do to help. They eventually accept that answer, and Karen takes my manager's card and storms off back toward their room. Okay, guess that's resolved, if not how I wanted it be. I settle in to get some work done, until about an hour later when the 911 alarm goes off the front desk phone. That's never good. I check the info and lo and behold, the call came from 318. After I roll my eyes and answer the call from dispatch that came in immediately after, I ring the room with my regular "Is there an actual emergency?" spiel. I have to call them twice before Bob answers, acting like everything is fine. I tell dispatch it must have been an accident. But seriously though, that is a weird level of petty just because you didn't get your way. Also, I guess they decided not to leave after all. Now on to packing 94 individualized breakfast bags. TLDR, guests call 911 because they didn't get their way. I know this is very different to the usual hotel front desk stories, but I didn't know where else to post, so to keep things very vague for privacy, I work in a charity currently helping provide emergency food support to those struggling due to COVID-19. We offer two types of support. 1. Food parcels, pretty standard stuff really. Given to anyone who is struggling and is free. 2. Food shopping, if you have been told to stay at home by the government as you are an at-risk group and have no friends or family who could do shopping for you. i.e. if you have no way of getting food, a volunteer will do a food shop for you with a voucher. Pretty simple, right? Well, a few weeks ago I get referred a woman. Now we are given a handful of details by the call handlers, and so my notes said that she wasn't shielded. Now, that automatically rules her out for a food shop, as we are incredibly limited on volunteers, and so you have to be shielded to qualify, as it's just for the very vulnerable, like old people. I call her up anyway and ask if she would like a food parcel, as we can give them to anyone. I ring her, and she answers the phone whilst in a shop. She says that she doesn't want a food parcel as she got one last week but didn't use any of the stuff in it as her kids didn't like it. I tell her that we can remove the stuff they don't like from the food parcel and replace it with stuff that she does. She says she doesn't want the food parcel, she wants the food shop because her kids won't eat any meat which comes from a tin and will only eat fresh meat. I explain that she isn't eligible for a food shop because she isn't shielded. She says she is self-isolating, to which I point out that she answered the call in a shop. Yeah, well, I just really needed some milk, so I went to the corner shop. I can go out but I can't handle big supermarkets. Okay, fair point. Some people are like that. At this point I go to my supervisors, who firmly say, she isn't shielded, she's going outside, she doesn't need a food shop. So I explain that she can have a food parcel but not a food shop. Why is it my friend got a food shop but I didn't? Does my mental health not make me eligible for it? Does my mental health not matter to you? My kids can't eat anything in a tin, they need fresh meat. Don't bother, then. This is just a conflation of many points she made during this conversation /. And so she's refused the offer of a food parcel. With nowhere else to go, I end the call, politely. Now, I can understand if you're lactose or gluten intolerant and you need specific foods items. But ma'am, your kids wanting fresh meat isn't a dietary requirement. It's being spoilt and fussy. I have spoken to people who are living in absolute poverty who are so grateful for the food parcels we give them. You are literally rejecting the offer of free, regular food parcels because your kids are so fussy they won't eat tinned meatballs. I'm a courtroom assistant in a Southeast Asian country. I'd rather not get much further than that on identifying information. We do both security and practical assistance like moving displays, escorting juries, and some ceremonial stuff as well. This was the sentencing of an evil flip on several high crime offenses, similar to what a capital offense may be in America. Here high crime is the level above criminal offense, or felony for the rest of the world. He stalked, kidnapped, raped, and murdered a locally famous and growing pop artist who was pregnant. He was charged with stalking, high crime kidnapping, high crime rape, high crime murder, high crime fetal homicide, and a bunch of other stuff. Evil Flip, as he will be referred to from here on out, was on suicide precautions as he made threats against his own life in prison, so he was in spiffy paper clothes. We were well into victim impact statements. The victim had a large family and there were something like 35 individuals addressing the court. We're something like 28 statements into it. Next up was Granddad. These are always really emotional, families are always really upset for good reason, but this 80-plus old guy is the worst I can remember. He was crying, breathing heavily, shaking, the entire sentencing. He was called to make his statement, starts walking up, about past the counsel table. He then turns, tackles the attorneys and Evil Flip. He didn't get much in on the Evil Flip, maybe a kick and 2 punches before 15 of us pile up on him. He was taken into custody, and it quickly became apparent that Evil Flip got what was coming. Evil Flip is screaming and gagging for about 20 seconds, then he starts convulsing, came back in about 2 minutes choking/gagging, really bad. We put him on his side and get an ambulance on the way. The rest of the gallery was evacuated and court went into recess. By time the ambulance arrives he's not breathing, only twitching and has no pulse. They do CPR, take him out to the hospital. He was revived and died later that day. Coroner's report said his brainstem was damaged, his skull was broken, and brain herniated through break in his skull. The Granddad was interviewed by national police who have jurisdiction of courts. He said that he'd been planning that for days, he felt no remorse, said if he had time he would have killed the attorneys too. It also came out that the Granddad was in my country's mob back in the day, had 40 years in prison prior for drowning someone in petrol and lighting their corpse on fire. He was suspected but not confirmed to be involved in several other high-profile murders. He was charged with murder, conspiracy, contempt of court, and 2x simple battery for the attorneys. He was found not guilty of everything except contempt of court, to which he was originally sentenced to 4 years, but it was reduced to terminal probation with home confinement due to his health. No shoot, There I was, balls deep in the thick of an undisclosed training area on an undisclosed military post. It was drill weekend, gunnery tables 1 and 2, and the last drill weekend with our master gunner. A 20-year vet of our unit, he had finally picked up E8 and was moving up to battalion. We had a ceremony attended by all members of our company, our sister company, former members of our unit and leadership all the way up the line. Kind words were shared and he managed to get out a few words before getting choked up. Afterwards, he went for a ride with his family in a spare track, with yours truly driving. We crept out of the populated area towards the trail, nice and slow in low gear. As we approached the road guards and the line where we could open the throttle, he told me, as we passed these guys, floor it. As if I needed to be told twice. Loose soil after days of summer sun acted like a smokescreen and that massive engine whined as it climbed through the gears, all the weight shifting to the rear and our combined amusement echoing through the intercom. That was the last weekend I got to be on a tank. There weren't enough slots for gunnery that year and I'd already been to BLC the prior fall. I don't keep in contact with that grizzly old nerd as much as I should, but if you're reading this, it was the best job I ever had and it was an honor to roll out with you. Oftentimes we hear about police searching for an unidentified witness or a unique piece of clothing on a tow. I guess my example, even though it's not really unsolved, would be Rodney Alcala's photographs. Those creep me out because there are women out there who have no idea that they came so close to a murderer. Another would be the Lisk victims Peaches and Cherries, because of their tattoos. Someone even recognized Peaches after her picture was in the papers. They received a call from Steve Cullen, a tattoo artist in Connecticut who claimed he remembered giving the tattoo to a woman. Cullen said he remembered the customer as a young black woman, about 18 or 19 years old, who was accompanied by 2 women, an aunt and a cousin. During the session, he also claimed she told him she was from either the Bronx or Long Island and that she was in Connecticut because she was having trouble with her boyfriend at the time. It is possible the woman had other tattoos on her arms or lower legs that the killer did not want found. If the tattoo artist is correct, then at least 2 people, the aunt and cousin, should recognize the tattoo. This is a little funny story from work yesterday. Boss, hey op, I need you at work ASAP, we are super busy and make sure you put some black pants. Me, okay, boss, I will dress up and come to work. Boss, she sees me in my casual black track pants and starts laughing with the other coworkers and have tears. Me, boss, it was my day off and my clothes are in the washing machine right now and you did not specify what black pants I should wear, with a big smile. Boss, oh I meant you're working black pants that are suitable for the job. Me, you did not specify and I did not have anything else of that color to wear. Boss, okay, go to the chancing room and find some pants, I think you will find some. Me, coming back 5 minutes later and getting on some oversized pants. Boss, starts to laugh with my coworkers, with this pants I can fit as well inside. Me, start to laugh, that is what I will be wearing today, I don't have anything else. So I had a good laugh with them as well, but I complied with the request and I decided to have some fun at work while going on an extra shift. This happened before COVID. My mom, my sister and my sister's friend went rollerblading. I'm okay at rollerblading. So I fall a few times. No big deal, you just get out of everyone's way and get up. Well, one time I fell, a little girl behind me who was only going around the inner circle holding onto the did rail. Does Karen thing and clears her throat. What do you call a young Karen? Ha-hem. I didn't exactly remember what she said, but it was basically get the F out of my way. The place was closing in like 10 minutes and I thought I could teach her a lesson, so every time I saw her I would go in front of her and pretend to retie my rollerblades. I did this until the guy told everyone to finish up. She just stood there like I was killing her. I think she got the message. I am a branch manager in a tiny town in California. For those unaware, California has had a statewide mask ordinance since last Thursday, so a little over a week now. Since this leads to confrontation daily, I am the mask enforcer as the manager of the place. Yesterday, a woman in her 20s or 30s came no mask. I stopped her at the door and told her she would need one. Every excuse she had, I had to come back for. I don't have one. They sell them next door. It's just a short transaction. Great, then you can do it outside at the ATM. And finally, you're the only bank enforcing this. I dramatically placed my hand over my heart, gasped, and told her that I was so sorry those other banks had placed her in an unsafe environment, but not here. Not on my watch. Masks are enforced. Needless to say, She left grumpy and came back a mask about 2 minutes later. I made sure to greet her again with a big smile and tell her how much I liked her pretty flower mask. She wouldn't make eye contact. Ha. So this memory just came back to me, son. I thought I would share. At my store, we usually have a thing of stickers to give to kids. We often use them to help parents out. Child won't sit still, so we say something like, "Oh, I guess they don't want a sticker then," and to help them learn please and thank you, and just to make kids smile. So one day I'm working our self-scan and I notice a little girl, 2 years old at most, and so I ask if she would like a sticker. Her mom tells her to use the magic words to ask for the sticker. This little girl waddles up to me and points at the sticker. I ask, "What's the magic word?" She stops, puts her finger to her chin like she's an ancient philosopher, and then looks back up and says, with the straightest face possible for a toddler, and says abracadabra. In the end, I gave her extra stickers because that kind of genius deserves an award, and I still smile at the memory to this day. A few summers ago my family had a garage sale, and my mom decided to put out a set of bed sheets that she didn't want anymore but were still in decent shape. A few hours into the sale a group of women came by and I saw one of them examining the sheets. She looked them over, then clicked her tongue and turned to me. "Do you have any other sheets?" Not that are for sale, ma'am." "But you must have more sheets." "Well, yes, but there are sheets. We're using them. They're not for sale." "Can't you check and make sure there aren't any others?" At this point I had no idea how to respond. She was essentially asking me to check in the back. I've worked customer service and that was very much her attitude, in my own house. I went and got my mom, who was even more confused than I was, but firmly reiterated that yes, these were the only sheets we were selling, and no, this woman could not go through our linen closet and make us an offer. Apparently this made the lady realize she wasn't going to get anywhere, because she shook her head at us, gathered her friends, and left, glaring. I have delivery instructions asking drivers to leave the food on the bench or the table on my front porch. They would have to pass those to get to my front door anyway. The table is a little folding TV tray that I put out when I order delivery now that everything is no contact. Frequently, people delivering packages put them right up against the door so it's really hard to open it and get them. Annoying, but I don't really know how to make them stop. This time it was a food delivery. I can see the front porch and the table through our window. I saw the driver chilling in his car but couldn't see the bag, so I went to open the door and check everything was okay. I got the door open a few inches and hit the bag. I was able to snake my arm out and try to wave to the driver to show him the problem. After waiting a minute I realized he wasn't going to help. I gave up and sat down inside the door so I could get my arm low enough to reach the handles of the bag. Picked it up and the bottom was soaked from my wet doormat. Luckily it didn't break, but gross. Set the bag down inside. Then I angrily walked outside to grab the TV tray while he was still there. I looked at his car, picked up the TV tray, stopped to look and shake my head in his general direction, and went inside. Kicking myself now because I still tipped. I work for a cell phone company. I am the highest level of technical support you can speak to. L. Good Christian old lady, self-labeled. M. Me. After introductions and asking her how I can help, she calls herself a good Christian woman and informs me she's trying to live stream her church service but cannot because her reception is poor. M. Oh, I'm so sorry. L. All ye people ever are is sorry. When will you listen and fix this? I'm going to invite the CEO and wine and dine him, greatest he's ever had, but make him try to use his phone here. He won't be able to. Terry's. No. Service. M. Internally confused, asking myself what the flip. I really understand your frustration, ma'am. I am sorry. Do you have internet there? L. No. Why should I have to pay for internet? M. Now realizing she lives in the mountains and there's no towers owned by my company out there, I do see you're very far away from a tower, so. L. Exactly. I don't have service. My neighbors don't have service. When will we get service? M. It's very hard to put a tower in your area and it's entirely possible the places that can have a tower placed are owned by a different company. L. Fine. I'll just call back every single day. I'll keep complaining and complaining until something is done. And my bill, I pay a premium price and can't get premium service. You supposedly can't do anything about that either. Why am I paying so much? I need a discount. M. Crying over my callback percent because it's the end of the month. Well, mum, we can look into indoor solutions for you today. As far as your bill goes, We can change your plan to a lower priced one. 99% sure she did not listen to a single word I said. I am not changing my plan. I know nothing will be done, but it'll just keep calling and calling. I hate this company, they don't care about me. We've never had service and never will. Good day. I couldn't outright say it, but holy flip lady, just change carriers if you've never gotten service out there. If you move and your service sucks, please spare tech support if you've been getting the same answer from us over and over. I don't have the emotional strength to be these people's punching bag anymore. Genuinely happened about an hour and a half ago. Obligatory mobile formatting irk. I work on a yacht and we've just done a crossing from West Coast USA to Spain, arriving this morning after 62 days of traveling. We had to detour to Miami for a sick crew member and then turn back to Bermuda thanks to a hydraulic malfunction. All I can say after so long on a sailboat is, the land sickness is real. Anyway, we dock this morning, do half a day's work and then get the afternoon off. As you can imagine, it's been 62 days of being cooped up and rotating watches every 8 hours 7 days a week, so we ran the flip away from the boat the first chance we get. I'm enjoying the town square of the little town we've docked at, wondering at the amount of masks people are wearing around their necks but not pulled up to their mouths when I feel my phone buzz. It's overheated. So I do what you're probably not supposed to and press the home button a few times to try and bring up the screen. Doesn't work, so I put it away. This was a mistake. I did not know that on an Android phone, if you push the top right side button 3 times it sends an emergency SOS to you. Emergency contacts consisting of a front-facing photo, confused face and wonderfully captured double chin, 5 seconds of sound, discussing how our snack and beer bill for 3 people came to €13, and the GPS coordinates of the phone. My emergency contacts consist of my ex-boyfriend and my father. X replies accordingly, "Are you okay? Did you pocket SOS?" He knows me well, "I apologize, overheating phone etc." My father however called the Falmouth Coast Guard. Gave them the boat's IMO, MMSI and call sign as well as having them contact the Spanish authorities with the coordinates my phone sent with the SOS. Luckily it was laughed off and I am very appreciative that if it were different circumstances it would have worked very well. However, I am somewhat mortified that the Coast Guard and Spanish police were involved and I definitely will not live it down with my captain. TL, Doctor phone overheated and I managed to send an SOS to emergency contacts. Dad promptly calls the Falmouth Coast Guard and Spanish authorities to contact my boat and find where I'm in trouble. I work at a small-town coffee shop that has managed to adapt and stay busy during COVID-19 by utilizing a window for walk-up service. A regular problematic customer, let's call him TJ, is a typical middle-aged man riddled with toxic masculinity. He often makes female employees and customers uncomfortable with his comments. Lately he's been around a lot, being typical TJ. Today he came to our window and ordered a coffee. Cool, nothing out of the ordinary. A co-worker asked him if he would like to tip via our Square register. We normally don't verbally ask customers, but with the current pandemic we are not allowing customers to touch our iPad system. He proceeded to tell her to put 100, and reassured them he wanted to tip that much because he appreciates our hard work and effort and wants to chip in since our business has been a bit slower. Okay, I gave him that and almost have a change of heart about DJ. We both outwardly thank him and he goes on his way. I text my boss about this uncharacteristic interaction with TJ and through their end of the register system she was able to look at the transaction. They noticed that not only was the credit card he used not in his name, but in his boss's name, on their company card. Typical TJ. What a D-bag. I work in telecom, and my specific position requires a high level of communication with different departments in the company. This has been made a bit more difficult given we are all working from home due to COVID, but we are making it work. I mainly deal with the account managers who set up the customer's account and make sure everything is ready for their go-live date, so their call queues and users' accounts, etc., are working properly. My department is seen as the bottleneck of the process and we are always the scapegoat when revenue targets aren't met when we go back to the customers and tell them the promises they were made aren't possible. Well, we just got a new department head and he's not putting up with anyone's shoot. This obviously rustled everyone's jimmies, especially the account managers who were used to throwing temper tantrums and getting their way. This eventually led to a completely new process being developed with all the other departments' input as to how updates are to be communicated, and they settled on email only. That way it's all tracked with timestamps and allows no room for falsifying messages and update timelines. Well, previously we had used a company-specific messaging platform to communicate updates, And it was slow to be adopted by everyone since using email was pretty annoying, sending 1 to 2 sentences back and forth, so only the formal updates were communicated via email when there was customer involvement required, or some other issue came up / was resolved. That all changed abruptly a couple weeks ago when I got a video call from my boss where he asked me to explain an email he got from an account manager, Kyle, where I had not updated his cases in over a week. I was extremely confused as I had spent the better part of my morning talking with Kyle about that account via the messaging app. My boss asked for the chat logs, which I gladly handed over, and was told later that Kyle apologized for his unintentionally misleading email and he asked that we follow the process in the future to avoid this confusion. Sir, yes sir. It's been nearly 2 weeks of purely email communication with Kyle and I can tell he's not very amused. He's apologized and practically begged me to please just respond to him via the messaging app as he missed a couple emails I sent asking for updates. I learned through another account manager, I'm good friends with, that those missed emails caused this customer's go-live date to be pushed to next quarter, which cost this guy his quarterly bonus since he missed his revenue target goal. Eat shoot Kyle. First time posting, currently a EMS dispatcher for a private ambulance company for 3 years now. We take some calls, however, they're usually seizures, psych, and falls. This one? Probably should have been psych, but unfortunately she wasn't the patient. This call happened in my first year, while I was pretty fresh and didn't understand the power of controlling a call. And #X200B. Me, okay, tell me exactly what happened. CLR, yeah, my mom fell in the other room, you know we have her locked in there right now, but yeah she fell and I think she may have hit her head. Me, okay. Are you with her now? CLR, well, you see, she has dementia, and we live in a new home, so she is locked in there. You see, we can't have her wandering because of the bears that are around here. Me, have you gone to check on her yet? CLR, no, I can't unlock her door because she will get out and the bears will get her. Me, can you please go check on the patient? CLR, yeah, I think she might have hit her head, it sounded like she hit the end table. That's what woke me up, but even our big dog, insert large dog brand, is afraid to go outside because there are bears here at this new house. Please send the ambulance but make sure they get in and out quick because the bears will get them. Rinse and repeat for literally every one of the 10 questions involved with a fall. I was essentially working with a third-party caller as she flat out refused to unlock her mother from the room until the imps got there, let alone even go look at her. And #X200B. I kid you not, I heard way more about these bears than I ever got out of her regarding her fallen mother. While I may have wanted to bash my head into the desk repeatedly asking her the questions, now I can have a good belly laugh over it. From what I do remember though, Mom was transported alright, and no EMTs were mauled by the darn bears. Today a customer dropped some of their prescription paperwork and of course since it's related to medication and has a convenient phone number on it I called him up. He didn't answer so I left a message. After a bit of phone tag later in the day I managed to get on the phone with him and the conversation pretty much went like this. Him, is this op? Me, yes this is she. Him, I got a call saying you found my prescription paperwork. Me, yes, I just wanted to call and make sure you didn't forget anything you needed. Him, well I wouldn't have brought that into the store. Me, internally asking myself how else I would have found his number, well it does have your name and number on it. Him, well what's the address? Me, address. Him, I'll come in to pick it up. Seriously, does he think I'm making randomness up? It has his full name, address and phone number on it along with pharmacy information. I was nice enough to call him when I didn't have to because it might be important. I work at an American chain diner, simple food and located right off the highway. Since returning, I quickly realized that about 5 of our 20 servers are actually working. Apparently everyone either isn't answering their phone or saying no. What does that mean for me? Working 7 days a week, averaging about 9.5 hours each shift, and by myself for 70% of it. I get slammed all by myself, my manager's having me take people until the dining room is full, making it so at any given point I could have up to 18 tables. After being back for only 2 weeks, I've had points of having 12 tables alone, 10 tables alone, and corporate coming in to be served in the midst of a solo rush. Responsible for making my own ice cream, we have people that scoop it, they haven't been called back, doing everyone's dishes, and keeping up with my normal duties all the while. I'm 19, relatively fit, and good at what I do, but my God has this made me hate my job and the people who run it. So this story is pretty short, and it happened today. I work in a service deli for context. I was helping a dude who had asked for some sliced turkey and the interaction was completely normal. I sliced the meat, he thanked me, and then walked back to who I presume was his girlfriend. There was nothing different about my interaction with this guy from my interactions with every other customer I've helped. Then, out of nowhere, the chick he was with walked up to the counter and growled, "Hey chicken lady. The main thing we sell is chicken." Annoyed, I kind of rudely said, "What?" To which she responded with, "Thanks for the beef." Putting special emphasis on the beef. Now, either she was just some crazy lady spouting gibberish, or she was mad at me because she somehow thought I was coming on to her boyfriend. Here I would like to repeat that I had interacted with him in exactly the same way I interact with all of my other customers, friendly, and with my customer service voice. I honestly wish I could have come up with some witty response to this, but all I said was "Okay?" and she walked away. I honestly would not have cared about her getting in my face if she hadn't referred to me as chicken lady. I wear a name tag, and if someone wants to start something with me, they should at least have the decency to use my name instead of referring to me by a title that they made up based on one thing that my job involves. I told my manager about what happened, because my coworker told me I should, but the lady had already left by that point. I know this probably isn't the most interesting story, but it really bothered me that she was so disrespectful just because I was nice and friendly. Also, I typed this out on mobile, so sorry for any mistakes. This was about 2002. And I was working as tech support for a local dial-up ISP. It was an interesting time, because for many of our customers, they were using their first ever computer. So this user calls and I'm walking her through some connectivity issue. Everything was going fine, and we were working through it. At some point the old "press any key to continue" message popped up. Having heard I don't have an any key too many times, I've gotten into the habit of telling people to hit their space bar. User, it says press any key. Me, okay, just go ahead and hit your space bar. All of a sudden this lady turns into Mr. Hyde for no reason. User, I don't have a space bar here, sir. Me. Deep breath. Me, please look at your keyboard. Do you see that long button on the bottom? User, yes. Me, that's your space bar, go ahead and press that for me. I could just hear her deflate. The rest of the call went fine, but I died a little inside that day. Edit, formatting. Bartender at a local pizza joint. My buddy came in after a long day dealing with his two sick little girls. He tells me a story from today about the littlest. She's screaming for him from the bathroom. She states she's been waiting for 60 years for him. All she wanted was a cheese pizza from our place. Since they were sick he went with something more appropriate for upset stomachs. But you can guarantee I got him a gift certificate for a cheese pizza for her when she's better. Nice to have good customers to even out the bad ones, lol. I worked in housekeeping in a hotel for months up until this past week. I'm now 35 weeks pregnant. I was scheduled to work 5+ days a week, with 20+ rooms to myself. I came into work recently, because I was on the schedule, and I could barely walk. I couldn't bend my back and my ankles were hugely swollen. I had been in L&D the night before to stop contractions. We didn't have many rooms, but 5 housekeepers in-house. Everyone was almost begging my manager to send me home, as we had too many housekeepers for the amount of rooms. Now, I'm huge at this point in pregnancy. I can't bend too far forward in general. My manager and I, discussed a couple weeks ago that she didn't want me cleaning bathtubs, so I was to have another housekeeper come clean my bathtubs. No biggie, I was fine with that. Well, the day before I quit I had went to find another HK to help with a bathtub. Said manager stopped us in the hall and asked what we were doing socializing on the clock. We explained that she was going to clean a bathtub for me and would go right back to her rooms. She yelled at me and said that if I can't do my job, I need to quit so that she can hire someone who's willing to work. I explained that it wasn't that I wasn't willing to work, rather that's one small task that I myself struggle with accomplishing. She didn't care. She continued yelling at me. Now, I've always hated being yelled at, so I spent the rest of my shift crying while cleaning my rooms. I got home from work, still crying. My boyfriend became extremely upset as I told him what had happened. We decided that it's in the best interest of our child that I just be done, as it's a lot of emotional trouble as well as physical. So I gave my manager her wish, and I went in and handed in my scrubs and quit. She seemed sympathetic, said she understood, was sad to see me go, and for me to come talk to her after I was released from maternity leave. Fast forward to today, Another HK at said hotel was talking to this manager, while recording the conversation to send to me. She asked if I would be back after baby. The manager told her that I was lazy and a crybaby, so she would never consider hiring me back. I'm glad I quit. I feel like I dodged a bullet. I'm not sure that I'll ever be able to convince myself to work in housekeeping again. So I work at a small office for a construction company. I have one coworker that is a grandma, and due to some parental issues, she is now taking care of her two youngest granddaughters, ages 7 and 8. She doesn't really have money, so she can't pay for a babysitter to watch the girls as she's working her 8 to 5 job. There is also the issue of COVID-19 right now, so having a stranger come into your house for long periods of time and be around kids is not really a good idea. Luckily, for her, the boss is okay with the girls being in the office as long as they don't bother anyone from working and be quiet. Over the time, I've slowly went from being grandma's co-worker to being a babysitter. This is how it starts. The girls did that at first, until one of their tablets broke down and stopped working. Then, they would fight over the other tablet and would whine and tattle to the closest adult there, usually me. So to stop this, I brought my tablet just so that they could watch Disney+. It worked, until my tablet ran out of power. Then, whoever had that tablet would start to come up to me and say I'm bored. They'd bring a backpack full of colors, coloring books, toys, etc., so I know that they aren't bored, they just want a tablet. I would then have to list off things for them to do, so that I could go back to work. After a while, I've learned how my coworker has been parenting them, and when the girls do something, then I just follow what my coworker tells them to do. For example, the girls have a towel and toothbrushes and toothpaste in the girls' bathroom. They are told that they have to wash their face, hands, and teeth after eating lunch. The girls would try to get away with this and go straight back to the tablets after eating, so I would have to remind them as to subtly tell them that they can't disobey their grandma. Now, I just have to raise an eyebrow and they listen. I really was fed up with all of this, especially when my coworker and I would usually be the only ones in the office, but I didn't really say anything because I know that my coworker can't really do anything to keep them home, and they are kids who need to be loud and run around and all that. But I finally realized how much my coworker was taking advantage of me when she said, "Wow. You're the cheapest babysitter. All I have to do is just pay for your lunch." She not only said this straight to my face, but also in front of the girls, who now believe that I am their babysitter. Now if there are any problems, from an untied shoe to a fight over who can get what, the girls go to me first before their grandma. I am 14. I am a certified referee in my state. I know the rules as I've played by them my whole life, along with taking the officiating classes. At our park district, no headers for ages below 11. But in U12, it is up to the referee's discretion. So if it's a small tap, it's okay. That is exactly what happens. So the coach behind me screams at the top of his lungs there are no headers in U12 5 to 16 times. I ignore him. Though I could eject him. It was last game of the season and I didn't care. After a bit of yelling, he says fine. Go duck yourself then, which I turn and tell at him for saying in front of you 11 kids. I wish I sent him away or ended the match. Sadly I didn't do much, and my partner is a longtime referee, officiated my matches as I grew up, and he is deaf. So he has no idea what happened. The person who runs Park District in my area has been informed and is taking action. Obligatory. This happened in October of 2019. After work one day, myself and two other friends/longtime colleagues went out to dinner at Cracker Barrel. As usual, I ordered off the breakfast menu because I love breakfast for dinner. I ordered my normal order but was also wanting something sweet, so I added an order of French toast. My friends both ordered off the lunch/dinner menu, and soon enough our food was arriving. The server laid everything out for us. It looked great. I finished off most of my breakfast meal pretty quickly but saved the French toast for last. Here's where my FU happened. I had seen the server put down the traditional small airplane-looking bottles of syrup that I was accustomed to seeing, but she had also placed a small pitcher beside them with what looked to be a matching color liquid. The pitcher had a glass stopper in the top, but I didn't find it strange. I took the stopper out and dumped a generous amount on my French toast. Maybe it seemed a bit runny, but I still hadn't quite realized my FU. That first bite was atrocious to say the least. As soon as I took the bite I knew something was very wrong. That was not syrup I had put on my French toast. I glance across the table and see that my buddy had ordered turnip greens, and I instantly knew I had bathed my French toast in malt vinegar. It was awful, but my friends hadn't noticed. So, I proceed to add both bottles of syrup to my vinegar French toast and ate every last bite. I was in no way ready to own up to my FU that night with my friends because they'd never let me live it down. I had essentially gotten away with being an idiot and having too much self-pride. However, since my friends are also my colleagues, I told them the entire story the following day. We all had a good laugh and it gets brought up still, from time to time. DL, Doctor, I was an idiot, mistaking malt vinegar for syrup, and drowning my French toast in it. But I powered through and ate every bite because I was too prideful to admit my FU to my friends. I did admit what I'd done the following day though. I'm in a pickle. I woke up today to find 2 mice inside the bucket. One is very much dead and headless, and the other is very much eating him. I didn't want to use kill traps because I wanted to be kind, but this turned out to be so much worse. I'm afraid this cannibal gladiator mouse is going to eat any other mice that fall in with him, and I have no idea what to do about this half-eaten mouse corpse. I don't have any way to get it out of the bucket without releasing the living mouse. We have only ever caught 1 mouse at a time, and sometimes they hang out in the bucket with some food and water until my partner can drive them a few miles away and release them. But he is out of town for a few days and I can't drive. WTF do I do? DLDR, I set up a no-kill mouse trap but quickly realized that mice will kill and eat each other while trapped, and now I have no idea what to do. Forgive my formatting, I'm on mobile. Last night I was laying in bed waiting for my husband, barely drifting off to sleep when I saw him in the doorway. It was already dark so I couldn't see his face but I was pretty sure it was him. Who else would it be? From the doorway he started whispering and slowly walking towards the bed but I still couldn't see his face and it was really starting to freak me out. I wanted to hear his regular voice so I could be sure it was him so I tried speaking to him first but I couldn't get my voice loud enough so I began to cry and whisper back stop it while he continued whispering and walking towards me. And then I actually woke up, still crying stop over and over again, only to realize that he was asleep next to me breathing very loudly into my ear, hence why I heard him whispering in the dream. DL, Doctor, I had a dream that my husband was creeping across the room whispering at me, woke up crying for him to stop only to find the whisper was just his breathing. I feel like I am the biggest moron on planet Earth. Today I was ordering something on the internet and I'm not gonna say what cause it's embarrassing, but when I ordered it my online bank sent me a message that it was a suspicious purchase. I imagine this was mainly because of the website. It was kinda shady, but when I read the text they sent me I read it wrong and sent an N instead of a Y because I thought it asked if I wanted them to block it. What it really asked was if the purchase was me or not, so now I have to call them and explain that I accidentally cancelled my card because I am a moron and I have to explain what I was purchasing to them. I am considering faking my death and fleeing the country under a different name. If you have any advice as to how to handle this, please offer it. I have no idea what to do. The more I think about it the worse the situation gets. DL Doctor, I tried to buy something embarrassing online and I accidentally cancelled my card, so now I have to explain everything to someone over the phone and I'm not sure I can. Not me, but witnessed my bar manager go through this. Customer, excuse me, I've been waiting ages and you served everyone except me. Bar manager, I'm sorry love, what do you want? C, I'm not your love. Stares. BM, I'm sorry, can I get you anything? C, I think it's awful how you ignore customers who have been waiting for so long. BM, I didn't realize you had been waiting so long, what can I get you? C, well, I think this is awful, 5 people must have come after me and been served. BM, I apologize again, I'll get you your drinks now, what would you like? C, for free? BM, sorry, I can't do them for free. C, why not? I've had to wait for so long, it's the least you can do. BM, I don't think it works like that, do you want any drinks or not? C, of course I do, why do you think I was waiting at the bar? But I don't think I should have to pay. BM, you can either buy a drink or stand away from the bar I'm afraid, that's all we can offer. C, fine. But I don't want you to serve me. BM, why not? C, because you're incompetent, you don't know what you're doing. BM, well everyone else here didn't serve you fast enough either, what difference does it make who pours your drinks? C, well I've just said, anyone but you. Now get somebody else. BM, well, the other staff are busy mixing drinks, so you'll have to wait if you want them. C, are you kidding? Flip you. BM, flip me? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Commence ranting and shouting followed by the bouncer escorting her out. Some background: I used to weigh 400 pounds and now I'm at 220 pounds, all within a span of 2 years. Still getting used to everything, more energy, people being nicer to you and having confidence. Well, I was chilling at home and got a call from my friend to go pick him up at a party. Agreed, seeing he shouldn't drive since he was drinking, I headed that way. Got over there, then sat by everyone at the bonfire waiting for him to get ready. Meanwhile, this really cute girl that was about to leave decided to stay a little longer and sat to talk with me. Here is where the flip up happens. One of the friends were drunk and said she was into me. Didn't think anything of it and thought, oh, they are just drunk saying things. Still hard for me to grasp someone being attracted to me. I just let it go. She gave me all the signals. I'm so dumb. Laying in bed now wondering why I just didn't believe in myself. Don't care if this doesn't make a lot of sense. Laying in bed right now mad at myself for not trying anything. TL, doctor, big boy become small boy. Small boy still have no confidence. Now small boy misses snoo with attractive girl cause he dumb since he doesn't believe in himself. In the middle of all of this, when I and the rest of my coworkers are physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted, the company we work for has sent out an email to only the non-union employees informing us of the joyous news. In 1 month's time we'll be going from front-loaded vacation to accrued time off based on hours worked. Guess whose anniversary year is in 1 month? I just lost all the vacation time I was looking forward to. The worst part? Now everyone is starting at the same level, regardless of time at the company. What's worse than that? Because I work a ton of hours, I could earn more vacation than someone who's been with the company 10 years longer but at less hours. You say it gets worse? Because this new policy doesn't start until the new year. This means that in the 5 or so months interim no one is earning any vacation time. But hey, it says here you can borrow hours from next year. You can't borrow more than a week's worth of vacation time. I had 2+ weeks coming down the pike. And in order to not have to pay back what I borrowed when I leave, because believe me, everything but my left heel is out the door, I'll be working without accruing any time for a while. I have a sneaking suspicion that the reason behind this is because the company hired too many people over the pandemic, and now those people are in unions, which makes it super difficult to terminate them. Which means non-union employees are getting shafted. Guess I can go flip myself, right? For some context, my brother is driving my sister to take a test that is in a city 8 hours away. Because of this they asked me 13F to take care of their 2 kittens for the next 2 days. Also, the house is a senior home and we currently have a patient. They left around 2 hours ago. A few minutes after they left I went to pet one of the cats that was hanging out in the living room. I pet him for a few minutes, then I went back to the room that I'm staying in. A few minutes later my mom asks me where the kittens are. I go to show her that one of them was in the living room, but he was gone. I look around in the surrounding area but we couldn't find any of them. Now worried, my mom told me to get one of the rattle toys. I grabbed it and started rattling it all around the house. We started looking everywhere but there wasn't a sign of a single one of them. We then started moving furniture around, but still, nothing. After 20 minutes of searching my mom texted my sister asking her where the kittens usually like to hide/sleep. My sister replied their cat tower or cardboard boxes. My mom and I have already checked both of those places countless times, so that brought us nowhere. My sister then texted, "Why do you ask?" Ha ha ha. And after a few more minutes of searching my mom texted back, "The cats are sleeping or hiding and we can find them." My sister replied that if we stand in one place and shake the rattle toy they will eventually come out. But we have already done that for nearly 30 minutes, and we were moving around the house. My mom also looked in the patient's room a few times. Now, it has been an hour and my dad has joined our search for the cats, but there's still not a single trace of them. Not even a meow. My dad went around the block with the rattle toy and still, nothing. I'm just hoping that they're sleeping somewhere, but I just can't imagine where. DL, doctor, I'm supposed to be babysitting 2 kittens. I took my eye off of one of them for a few minutes and now they've both been missing for the past hour. So this FU was a few days ago. I have been going to this same tobacco store for a while and there is this woman that works there that I find very attractive both personality-wise and looks. I usually stop by there daily for my own personal reasons and would usually flirt a little bit every time I did see her. So, in my head I was thinking she seems like she's into me, I think I'll ask her for her phone number. This was the first time I've ever felt confident enough to ask a woman for her phone number in person. So I messaged one of my female friends and asked her how she would feel if someone randomly asked for her number. I was afraid I would offend her woman in the tobacco store, or make her feel uncomfortable by asking her for her number. My friend assures me that in that case she wouldn't feel uncomfortable by someone doing the same thing. So now I'm ready. I build myself up a bit and I go into the store. I grab my usual blunt wrappers and head to the register, finish my sale, and then I'm ready. With a smile I say, I am sorry if this is inappropriate, but I was wondering if I could get your phone number. She smiles and starts blushing, replying, I am so sorry to decline, but I have a boyfriend, but thank you for asking. I am really flattered that you asked me. Oof, that stung. But I'm not upset. I smile back at her and say, I completely understand. I hope you all have a wonderful day and move on with the rest of my day. I don't dwell on the rejection at all, but I feel more confident than ever for actually being able to do this. This is where the negative effects show up. I go in there the next day to get my blunt wrappers like usual, expecting it to not be unlike any other time. But when I walk in this time the atmosphere is heavy. Alright, I figured it may be awkward. I turn to smile and ask how the two employees' day has been, but I'm met with some really dirty looks. They didn't respond to me. That threw me off because they've never acted like that towards me before. All I can assume is that they think I'm a creep for asking. I've gone in again since then, but I am met with the same silence and looks of disgust. DL, doctor, I asked a woman at a store for her phone number, got rejected, but handled the rejection well. Came back thinking all was well to be met with an uncharacteristic silence and looks of disgust. I'm not entirely sure if this is IFU, but we'll see. So, my job consists of working outside 7 hours a day in 90-degree weather detailing cars. Usually, we have about many people staffed, 2 people per car, and that means we do way more cars. However, with COVID, we only have 5 people, and 1 person per car. That means, it takes longer to do a car, and less cars done. Every minute, there is a line out to the street of cars. Me and my coworkers have no time to drink water, put on sunscreen, go to the bathroom, and we aren't even allowed to take a lunch break. That means, I am dehydrated, hungry, sunburned, and exhausted all day. All while our customers do not wear masks. The big boss starts yelling at my managers. I can hear what he's saying. He's screaming that he needs more cars done, and that we are not doing enough. He does this all the time, while never putting a finger on a car. Here's the FU. I decided to anonymously email to the company complaining about the big boss. I wrote a long, polite message explaining how tired we are and how we are dehydrated, hungry, sunburned, and dealing with customers who refuse to wear a mask. I also mentioned how he wants more from us all because he wants the big bucks. I said he valued quantity over quality for his own profit. Our ratings are 2.0 stars. Stupidly, I put my actual email address, even though I put the rest of my contact information as anonymous. I'm scared that it will get managers in trouble. They are great people, even though they have to listen to the boss. My company emailed and said a representative will speak to you. Which I can only imagine my GM will have to respond to me, which makes me feel terrible and a bit guilty. Anyways, they know my real email and name, and I'm scared of getting fired or getting my managers fired over my voice. DL, doctor, tried to anonymously complain about the big boss. Now they have my info, and may get myself and others in trouble. I was fed up before we were closed for 3 months, but this is worse. Only 7 people were brought back from our 20-person staff, from furlough, and things are intense. We have tons of customer pickup orders, lots of people shopping, and low staff count. It feels like the holiday season but without the staff to make it less stressful. I'm tired of running around like a chicken with its head cut off and hearing the upper manager clique laughing about stuff. The other day I was straightening nearby and a manager and employee were browsing clothes when the store was a wreck. Also on the same day I heard the employee who was talking to the manager say, I'm not going to ring on the register unless it's an emergency. Like, I get we have tasks to do, I do too, and have barely been in my department since reopening, and it's not like she was hopping on register when other people were just messing around and ignoring the call, because that used to happen, and I've ranted to her about how I rush from the back of the store to answer a call only to pass by 2 other people who could do it not going for it. We are all stretched thin and I wanted to deck her when she said that. Of course I can't say anything because she's buddy-buddy with the GM and the manager she was looking at clothes with. My job was barely worth it before the pandemic and now it's definitely not worth it. I hate saying it because I know people need work now, but getting the same shoot pay for more work and during a pandemic, which I'm at risk for. Granted, we are all at risk, but I know I'm not surviving it if I get it. I'm asthmatic and overweight but working on it. I always seem to be the one doing the most work as well, and others will say, oh, just don't work as hard, and I'd cry but I can't. The upper management is toxic besides one, and before the pandemic happened the GM was bragging about how he's friends with the person in charge of HR for our district so nothing will be done against him. And he also always says he hates drama and wishes people would come to work and just work like me but then flocks to whatever drama is happening. I find myself secretly wishing that the cases will come up so that our business is closed again. My mental health was 100 times better not working at this place, but at the same time I know it's not smart to quit, at least at this time.